Hello to all my friends out there. Hi, you guys. I hope everyone is doing okay. At night, I pray for you guys, and I noticed there was a couple comments that people's children had gotten the coronavirus, and my lovable followers had 25 comments, and everyone was praying for them. So I thought that was great. So I'm here in California. For the next 72 hours, I'm pretty much staying in the house. I think that's a good idea right now. Hopefully the first wave is subsiding. I hope so. Okay, so usually I do the videos the night before and then I post them the next morning, but last night I made a dinner that was almost identical to the dinner I made, not last night, the night before. The night before I made Mexican cheeseburger, macaroni and cheese. So I had pasta left. So last night I made spaghetti, but I made it really, really cheap. And what I did is I fried one of my 50-cent hamburgers that I got at Kroger, just like I did. These contain soy, but I decided to accept them because they were 50 cents each. So I have discovered two dinners, the macaroni and cheese and the spaghetti, that is acceptable. And I bought this pasta sauce, and I fried the hamburger, and there wasn't too much grease. I added the pasta sauce, and then I just sprinkled a lot of this Parmesan cheese that I bought. I'm going to be making use of this stuff on top, and it was really good. So I thought, well, I'll do a video. I had some stuff. I had a lot of stuff. I want to get my recipes out there, and I want to get my recipes out there now. Okay, so then I made a batch. One night I bought this cereal, and I was sitting on the couch, and I was eating the granola out of the cereal, and I thought, wow, why don't you just make your own granola? So I did. Here it is. It's really, really easy to make, and it's a really good snack. Not too high in sugar. It's good with milk. Here is the recipe. I use margarine, and if you make a lot, you can keep it in the freezer, I'm sure. Honey. I buy honey syrup at Dollar Tree. I'll be getting some. Quick oats, and then I bought some coconut. I didn't have any wheat germ, but I'm going to be buying some. Cinnamon, nuts, and raisins. So you just boil the honey in the butter, and then you put the cinnamon in the honey and butter, and then you mix it good with the oatmeal. What I did is I used 2 cups oatmeal and 1 cup of various, I had coconut, I had nuts and raisins, 1 cup, and then I mixed it all together, and I baked it 250 until it was brown. So that is a good one. And this is I bought the quick oats at Walmart. I thought, well, I'll pick up some more, and guess what? There wasn't any. But as soon as there is some, what happens to us is you'll go to get something and there isn't any. I gotta move this. This and food don't go around, but we'll get into this in a minute. Just like my bride's dress and grease and food. So this is some black tea. I can buy this stuff 100 bags for $1. And so that is going to last you for a while. So if you have coffee or tea, you can get by if all you have is water. But coffee is more expensive. That's a problem. Tea is cheap. It's better than water only. Okay, now back. As you know, I have been working on the yeast, making your own yeast for your bread and your own starters. And it wasn't entirely unsuccessful, but I really didn't like it. So when my ex-husband died the minister told us, he will speak to you through your memories. Well, what I have discovered since is God actually speaks to you through your memories. You know, a lot of people don't hear God's voice that says, Rhoda, go dig around in your collectibles and find your antique book. No, it just popped into my mind that I had this antique book because I have been a book collector for a long time. So this book is old, and the idea was to sell it 1878. This is 1878. So now, you know, they didn't have Walmart on every corner. And it popped into my mind that there was the old-fashioned bread stuff in here. Opening these books damages them to the point that you can't sell them, but that's okay. I'll just keep it. If you can get one on the internet, try to. Okay. Yeast for bread. So what we can do is alter these for what we have at home. Take 9 medium-sized potatoes, boil in 2 quarts of water, and mash them fine. Steep 1 cup hops in 1/2 pint of hot water and strain off, pressing the hops. If you don't have hops, you can get some beer. Add together the potato water, the hops water, the good ground ginger, 1 cup sugar, and when blood warm, 1 cup of stock yeast such as here described. So of this mixture, you're adding 1 cup. For first start, use brewer's yeast. So also, you can use brewer's yeast if you don't have baking yeast. So I'll be getting some, believe me. Put in a jar and keep in a cool place where it will not freeze, and it will keep good about 2 weeks. Let it stand at least 24 hours before using. So what we're going to do is adapt these really old-fashioned ways. I want to give you guys a screenshot. Chances are for a while we're going to be able to get beer. And if you can be trusted not to drink it all, then you know you'll be able to make bread. Okay. Where is it? Okay. Potato bread. Take 4 or 5 good mealy potatoes, otherwise these potatoes have been around for a while, and after boiling, peel and mash well. Add a spoonful of flour and enough hot water to make a thin batter. When cool, add a small quantity of good yeast and a spoonful of sugar. Set to rise in a moderately warm place, say by the stove or fireplace. It rises very quickly. Now that was my experience when I added the yeast to the flour. When risen, take 2 large spoonfuls of it, 1 1/2 pint of flour, a small spoonful of lard or butter, 1 1/2 pint milk, and hot water, enough to make a stiff batter overnight. Beat well. Next morning, work it well into a smooth dough and make into rolls or bread, and set in a warm place to rise again and bake in quick oven. I bake bread 350. Do not forget a spoonful of salt and one of yeast powder sifted in dry flour, otherwise self-rising flour, and you will work into the batter in the morning. A tin bucket is best with a tight cover and a towel between it and the bucket. If your flour is good, there is no better recipe, and in this, no hops is needed. So you can start it out, you can start your starter Oh wait, here it is. You can start your starter, and by the next morning, so brewer's yeast, beer, you can get yourself a little good starter going. I like this one, the next morning thing, rather than sitting around in the kitchen for 10 days. Okay, so that's that. More coming. So what I want to make is I want to make some fried biscuits, because if we can always have biscuits or pancakes or, you know. So let me give you the fried biscuit recipe. I want to get my recipes out there. So you need flour, soda, salt, shortening, buttermilk or sour milk, and shortening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some biscuits, and I'm going to fry them in this oil here, and then I save my bacon grease, and I'm making a little bacon gravy. From now on, I'm saving my grease, and if I don't use it, I'm putting it in the freezer. Also, it's probably a prudent thing to do to use your oil over. That can be done too. You know, just get into these thrifty habits in case, God forbid, you know, we ever need to. I mean, you can even put it, we ever have to. Okay, I wanted to mention something to you. Okay, in 1918, there was the Spanish flu, and it was transmitted all over the world by the military, I think. But the second wave was more deadly than the first, and that was in 1918. In 1929, which was 10 years later, came the Depression after a stock market crash. So what we want to do is say, okay, the Bible says pestilence or disease is followed by famine. And we have in recent history, you know, hopefully not. I mean, we all want to be optimistic, so let's hope not. But it can't hurt. So I have some, I mixed the flour, the salt, and the soda. Oh, and I went to get soda, and there's no soda, so be sure and stockpile that as well. So now I want to, my soda's room temperature. This kind of stuff works out much better when it's room temperature. So what I want to do is I want to just take 2 big forks. It could be knives, but I have more control with my big, huge forks. A pastry cutter would be really super duper. And what you want to do is, you don't want to handle it too much. Scones, you know, any kind of stuff like this, you don't want to get your hot little hands. And see, I can control my stuff easily with my forks. And then you need sour milk or buttermilk. So I use evaporated milk, and I just put some lemon juice that I stockpile, and I'm trying to work as much lemon and vinegar into my diet as I possibly can. If you don't like the idea, don't wear a mask. Go out in crowds of 10. Be stupid. It's not hurting me one bit. But in my opinion, it's best to take every precaution possible. I was a nurse student, and I used to go into the most infectious areas in the hospital. And one of the nurses told us to load up on vitamin C, and I managed to go into these areas. You know, nobody was a nurse student longer than I was, and I never got a cold. But what I did is, when those nurses told us to do something, I did it. And one thing they told me is don't touch anybody without gloves. And so, you know, people would say, well, you know, that's going to make that person feel bad. Well, that's okay, because I'm not going home. I'm not catching this stuff. So, and you want to blow your nose into a napkin. Don't sneeze into your body. I mean, I am so conditioned to do that that once in a while I will catch myself doing it. Don't sneeze on your clothes. Sneeze into a napkin and throw it away. You know? Okay, here is my... Well, that is what the internet tells me to do. Okay, well, you know, do what you want. That's not hurting. Okay, so see how my milk with the lemon juice has curdled? Another thing that's very, very important is take your trash out and watch out for insects. Another thing that seems to happen when you have disease and lower standards of living is insects, and they're dangerous. They can carry disease. And keep your, so see how I'm just wetting my dough. I'm not stirring it that much. I don't want my dough stiff. So now I want to heat my oil up a little bit. And in the meantime, I will make myself a little bit. So I have some bacon grease in here. These are pretty reasonable at Walmart, and I must have bought this at Aldi's. This is another thing, having a hard time. So you want to stockpile these things that we were having a hard time finding to be prepared for the second wave. So here's my dough. See? That was easy. Okay, now, what I did, you can leave these bits of bacon in. I'm taking mine out. You can fry, save your bacon grease from now on. Save your oil. We don't know what's going to happen. Possible a depression or a recession may follow the pandemic. Chances are a deadly second wave may be coming. Let's just assume it's going to. And so there is a 10-year period of time between the pandemic and the depression. But what we have going on now that's dangerous is we have the grand solar minimum. This is year 2. We're starting to see a lot of stuff like disease, like animal disease. Also, you know, the cold weather is no help with pneumonia. None. Mainly when it comes to the disease, we want to live through the pandemic, and when it comes through the depression, if one comes, we don't want to starve. A lot of people think it could never happen again. It could happen. I hope not. Okay, so I bought this. I'm stockpiling cans. And I buy these 50% off. Walmart, you're going to get probably the lowest price for the best quality, looks like. Okay, let's see if my oil is ready. It probably is. Yikes. Okay, so how I can test my oil is I can drop a little piece of dough in it. See what happens. It looks like it's ready. It's not quite ready. That way you don't wreck your dough like pancakes. That's how you can test your pancakes. And this is going to be some good gravy. And these are going to be some good biscuits. Okay, no. Okay, so 3 things, you know, we're thinking about ways to get by and how to make a little extra money. Honey, if you can get some bees and make honey. Worms and eggs you can sell. Okay, so we need yeast we need yeast for the starter, but we also need yeast for the bread baking, so we want to stockpile that. Baking powder, and I wanted to mention I don't throw any of the baking powder or baking soda out. I keep it all just in case. Stale is better than nothing. Okay, so now I have 1/2 evaporated milk and 1/2 water. This makes good gravy. And you can make your gravy as thick or thin as you like it. I like mine a little bit on the thin side. So the macaroni dinners were successful. And the cheap hamburger was successful too. I bought hamburger at Walmart. I think it was 33 hamburgers. I think it was a little bit better hamburger, but it was 75 cents each. So until this whole thing is done, I think I'm going to go with the cheaper hamburger. Okay, now back to it. Okay, now. Because I want to save all the money I possibly. Now you don't want to get your grease. You don't want to get your grease too hot. So I'm just gonna, you know, pat mine into some nice little biscuits. They're turning out good. I'm just gonna make 2. I'll make the other some more after. It takes too long. So if we can't get any starter, we can find a way to make that starter so that it's going to be ready for the next day. I can remember, I have knowledge of stuff up to 100 years ago, but not exactly, because, okay, the little one is done. My oil is really, really hot. So I want to save every last bit of butter or margarine I possibly can and eat it. And if it gets like this and it's just, you know, they're going to come out better if your oil is not too hot. So what I did is I just opened one and it's not ready. That is why you would want your oil deeper, but you know. All right, now let me taste my little one. These don't take long. I'm putting them on the sides because they're done on the top and the back. My gravy looks good. I will be searching around in my antique book to see what I can see. You don't want to take these out when they're raw. I having problems with the Pioneer Woman pan. That's why you'll see me using my old pans a lot. It burns everything. But, you know, they're good enough. I will use them until I wreck them. I'm going to cut them in half, and if they're still a little bit raw, I'll fry them from the middle, you know, to save time. Yeah, it needs a minute longer. To save time. Oops. My demonstration is going awry, but you're getting the idea. I'm trying not to make the videos last too long, but sometimes, you know, I have, you know, sometimes something takes a while, nothing you can do. Yummy. One could zap them for a minute in the microwave. Well, if you weren't on trying to demonstrate this, you know. Well, this one turned out pretty good. Now, let me show you. I have a lot more dough, so I'm going to be able to make more biscuits. Here's my gravy. Well, let me show you one. These are going to be good. Okay. They don't really need butter. This is a dirt cheap meal of fried biscuits and gravy made out of my bacon drippings. So it's a good idea to get some of these recipes under our belts. Let me show you. Some eggs would be good, but you know, I had my hands full. Okay, so I have a couple more things I want to mention. So how are we going to know when the second wave is starting to hit? Okay, a wave, you know, like in football games, you have the hands up and then there's a wave. Okay, so in the first pandemic, it started in China, and there's been some mention that it is starting in China again. Well, that's good. Then it hit Switzerland, Spain, Italy, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom. So what we would see is a reoccurrence in Switzerland, Spain, Italy, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom. I think the two most dangerous places in the entire world for this pandemic, especially if it's bioterrorism, would be India and Vietnam, because they're starting to compete with China for the manufacturing. And this is the first time that China is experiencing a contraction. And they're not pleasant. They're like, they come before recessions and depressions. Okay, expected durations. I think realistically an expected duration would be 2 years. The first wave may be over soon, but they're saying the second one might arrive in June, which seems accurate because we were about 3 months behind China. Okay, so now I have a cheat meal plan. This is like the dirt cheap meal plan I could come up with. One bean meal, one breakfast meal, one Mexican meal, one Italian meal. So I did a Mexican and Italian meal, one hot dog meal, one bacon meal, and one soup and sandwich. Okay, how long we can get, we're gonna be able to safely get pork remains to be seen. But if possible, I try to pack my freezer full of bacon in. So here's my cheat meal plan. And I've made most of these. So starting tomorrow, I will move on to something else. But it is a cheat meal plan. All right. Now, so I came up with yogurt. That's going to protect you from no dairy. Bread, so I'm going to be exploring all ways we're going to make bread. So if we run out of yeast, we're going to make soda bread. If we drink all the beer, then we're gonna make some starter. Granola, that was successful and easy. Soup and sandwich, or soup and bread. The soup was successful. I'll be making different kinds of soup. And tea, orange, and lemon. This may look like a hot mess, but it's delicious. Okay, these biscuits are really, really good. I'm gonna make these again, maybe tonight. Okay, you guys, please like, comment, and subscribe, and God bless you all.